All right, project 3. This is your last project and probably your most difficult project. This project here is going to be quite time consuming in terms of animation. Also drawing, if you're deciding to draw from scratch. You have about 5 weeks to work on this project, so make sure to budget accordingly. Okay, Project 3 is an animated e-card. You'll be designing and animating e-card to introduce you to Flash and the basic tools and principles of 2D animation. You may pick from the following events: holidays, birthday, anniversary, congratulations, friendship, get well, etc. By etc., I mean if it's a holiday, an event. I'm pretty open on this. Unless something totally doesn't make sense as an e-card, then I might call you on it. But other than that, as long as it seems like an e-card, I'm good. I just want to make sure that you take into account that you will be able to use drawings from your Illustrator project should you choose to. Cut down your workload on drawings for this particular project. So we're going to discuss that more in the little process section down below, and there's going to eventually be lessons on this, but I just want you to take that into account. If you don't want to redraw everything from scratch, you can recycle parts of your Illustrator project. You'll still probably need to create other things for your animation to be complete, but that might cut down on some of your workload. So just keep that in mind, kind of one of those things before you start concepting your idea. All right. I'm going to take a look at an example. We're going to take a look at Blue Mountain and say here, all right? Well, notice here there's some animation. This is what we call hinged animation, things that's repeating, okay, such as either a walking sequence or a dancing sequence. That was a transition when we changed from one to another, that swiping effect. Okay. And then here we have the message. Okay, so when we looked at that animation, there are some things that are required for the project. One of them was hinge animation, which is basically like them moving and dancing, kind of like puppets. That's considered hinge animation. There's movement, which was like when they were moving across the stage. There's also transition. And that's like when you see that swiping effect moving from one scene to another. And then there's that message here that you have, okay? So we're going to go back and take a look at this here. So it gives you required e-card content. You'll need to develop the exterior, or basically how you introduce the card, okay? And then the appropriate interior of the card, which is basically like where you present the message, okay? You need to have the appropriate illustrations and the animations to convey your concept. You're going to develop your own original characters. You can use your Illustrator projects. So in the lectures, I'll be teaching you how to import your Illustrator file if you don't want to draw from scratch, or you can come up with a new altogether concept. Maybe you're kind of over your Illustrator, or you didn't really do a good job and you kind of want to start all over, get a fresh start. You can do that as well. Just make sure to consider it in your time, okay? You're going to need to have text and copyright-free sounds or music to enhance your e-card concept and theme. Okay, the duration of the animation, I say approximately 45 seconds. It can be 30. Sometimes people can pull it off in 20 or less. For me, it's not a matter of time more than telling the story. Like that previous animation we just saw, I don't know how long it took, maybe 25, 30 seconds, but it told a complete story. You get introduced to the concept, you see it kind of play out, you get the message of how the Irish jig actually started, and then you realize that it's because they're all waiting to go to the bathroom. It tells a full story. It wishes a happy St. Patrick's Day. Okay, so you get the gist of the story in that whatever amount of seconds it is. Okay, if it's too short, I'll let you know. If I feel like you're animating too slow, I'll let you know. Making things go slower for the sake of making more time isn't good. You want to have good timing in your animation. Okay, all right. The objectives: to understand and apply the principles of design and 2D animation to execute 2D interactive animation, to develop a concept appropriate to a theme by developing graphics and using type and or sound into a cohesive storytelling narrative for an e-card based on industry standard and norm. Okay. To develop a compositional layout skills by applying visual hierarchy principles, both graphical and typographical components, and I'll be giving you feedback to try to get you there. To design with consideration and respect of copyright law as it applies to commercial work through the use of your own original illustrations. So you're going to be doing your own drawings just like before, and you're going to be looking for copyright-free sounds, okay? There's tons of it online. I'll try to direct you to some resources when the time comes. To develop technical skills in Flash and digital illustration, to learn to publish an FLA file into an SWF HTML format for use on the web, okay? So we'll be learning all about that. The process overview, you're going to be assigned the assignment just like you're doing right now. You're being briefed on it. You're going to do some research and brainstorming. So you're probably going to look at e-cards and see how they're kind of put together. All right, you're going to do some storyboard sketches with annotations, kind of explaining what it is that's going to happen from one scene to the other, what it is that you're going to be animating, how you're going to transition from one scene to another, okay? And then you're going to do character library development, and that means you're either going to be drawing your characters and all of the background scenery that you're going to need to convey your e-card, but you may also use the Illustrator project resources that you have, like the drawings and stuff. So it may not be drawing from scratch. You may just be taking those and building your character library. Anyways, either way, you have to build your library. There's going to be an assignment specific to that. So just because you have it in your Illustrator doesn't mean that it's ready to go in Flash. So you have to do that preparation, okay? All right, digital drafting, you're going to start working on it. You're going to turn in some progress. You're going to do some digital refinement. You're going to turn in some progress again. And then you're going to finally turn in the animation, okay? Things to consider, concept considerations. Make sure that whatever you're developing is original to you, that you're not just copying an existing e-card, okay? So it's got to be your storyline, and it needs to kind of abide by industry norm. It needs to feel like that industry norm that we're used to with e-cards. So make sure you look at all the e-cards that are out there so you get a sense, okay? Just so that you know, there's no imagery use in this project. It needs to be vector, okay? So something either drawn directly in the program or from Illustrator, okay? Compositional considerations, same as before, that things have balance, unity, that they look like they relate, the drawing styles are consistent, that it has impact, that when you're timing it, that you're not just making things take longer for the sake of making your movie longer, but that it actually makes sense, that it goes fast where it needs to go fast, go slow where it needs to go slow. Okay, that you have a nice color palette, and that you choose good fonts. Good fonts, we don't have, like I said, good typography section in this course, but I'll try to provide that to you with feedback, okay? Suggesting fonts, even sizes, and things like that. Technical specifications, you'll be evaluated on your developed skill level for the tools and processes that are taught in the class, okay? They include but not limited to sketching, drawing, organizing your document, the use and naming of your layers and your symbols, saving drafts as necessary, and saving final files to specifications. By saving the drafts, I mean turning in all that progress as you're going along. You're turning in different drafts, okay? Your final piece must include several examples of motion tweening, meaning there's got to be like moving or scaling or rotating, all right? One hinged animation, something like someone walking or someone waving or someone dancing, or something that requires hinge movement, like an elbow straightening out to like make a hand wave or something, okay? And basically one nested animation, something that is consistently moving, something like raindropping or talking. Sometimes your hinged animation is the same as your nested animation, okay? Now, usually hinged animation is within a nested animation. So those are usually one and the same. All right, the appropriate use of transitions such as fading, blurring, a swiping effect, okay, something that makes sense. And then you're going to need text and sound should be used to enhance the concept. Now there are some silent e-cards that work well, but if yours would benefit from sound and it's suggested that you use sound instead to make it feel more entertaining, then you should try to implement that, okay? All right, other technical specifications, you're going to have a template that you can download. Make sure to right click and save the file to your desktop. Don't just click on it because sometimes it'll just give you a blank page. Your software is Flash. Your orientation format is going to be landscape, 550 by 400 RGB, 72 DPI, 12 frames per rate. The images need to be illustrations drawn directly in the program, or you can use your Illustrator project as I already discussed, okay? But basically what we don't want is we don't want raster images from like Photoshop. Sound, only copyright free material, okay? All right, so evaluation method, again, grade sheet, final grade entered in gradebook. All the process leading up to it is 5%, like your homework is 5% of your grade in your grade sheet for the final project, all right? Flash tutorials, lessons are provided on the course website. Flash trial downloads, you register at Adobe, you download the current trial. Always wait until instructed to do so. Trials expire. The turn-in format, turn in all homework components for this project, such as writings, storyboards, exercises, drafts, critique, etc., via the appropriate Laulima assignment on its due date and is indicated in the schedule. Okay, so make sure you're turning the assignments when they're due, all the way along. At the very end, all you'll need to turn in is your final design brief and then your final flash file and the copy of your SWF and HTML file, okay? And for that, you'll be taught how to publish a file. Name them accordingly, they give you the format, and then make sure you always visit the site for schedule and due dates. All right, so I think you have a pretty good sense of what animated e-cards are. If not, go and check more out on these websites such as Blue Mountain and the other resources I give you on the assignment sheet. If you have any questions about the assignment, please make sure to contact me. This is by far one of the most difficult assignments. Timed animation is difficult to understand, and I know this only from having taught it so many times. So make sure that you account for the time for it and that you get help immediately as soon as you realize that you're struggling or that you're not understanding something. I'm on Skype during office hours. I'm there waiting just for someone to ask me for help. So please come and see me. If that time doesn't work, try to schedule something else with me. I can share my desktop with you. You can share your desktop with me and I can kind of see where the problem is and I can give you help. All right, that being said, good luck.